Is that really you? After all this time?
He saw the police lights before he saw her. They were flashing outside the small Brooklyn elementary school, cutting through the late afternoon traffic. His heart dropped. He didn't know why, he just knew. He stepped out of the car before his driver could open the door. Rain soaked his suit instantly, but he didn't care. And then he saw her, Alana Brooks, standing on the sidewalk, arguing with an officer. "My daughter was not released to me," she was saying, voice controlled but shaking underneath. "She was signed out by someone pretending to be family." The officer looked bored. "Ma'am, the records say she was picked up by an authorized guardian." "I am her authorized guardian." That voice. He hadn't heard it in 14 years, but he would have known it anywhere. Firm, clear, refusing to be dismissed. He stepped closer. "Excuse me." She turned, and everything stopped. The rain, the noise, the years. For a second, she just stared. Then her brows pulled together. "Joon?"
Joon?
He almost smiled at how she said his name. Not soft, not nostalgic, just stunned. "Yes." Her eyes dropped to his suit, his watch, the car behind him. "You're in New York." "For business." She let out a short breath that could have been a laugh or disbelief. "Of course you are." The officer interrupted. "Ma'am, if you're not filing a formal complaint, "I am filing a complaint," she snapped. That was new. At 19, he'd never heard her snap. Back then, she was composed, measured, always 10 steps ahead. Now, there was steel in her voice. He turned to the officer. "What happened?" The officer looked him over, reassessing. "Her daughter was picked up by someone claiming to be an aunt." "She doesn't have an aunt," Alana said sharply. Her hands were trembling now. He noticed. He remembered those hands. 14 years earlier, they used to hold red grading pens and dog-eared novels. Now they were shaking. "I'll handle it," he told the officer calmly. Alana shot him a look. "You will not handle anything." "I can help." "I don't need help." Her pride was intact. "Good." He lowered his voice. "What's your daughter's name?" "Mina." 9 years old. That meant... He did the math without meaning to. She followed his expression. "Yes," she said flatly. "I was married." He nodded once. "Of course." The officer cleared his throat. "Ma'am, we'll review surveillance footage and call you." She pressed her lips together. "Call me soon." The police car pulled away. The rain kept falling, and they were alone, for the first time in 14 years. She crossed her arms. "You look different. Older? Established." That made him smile faintly. That's one word. She studied him carefully. "You're not a student anymore." "No." "You were 19. "I remember." She exhaled slowly. "I was your English teacher. Let's not rewrite history." "I'm not trying to." Her eyes narrowed slightly, like she was scanning for the boy she used to tutor. He wasn't there anymore. At 19, he was guarded, quiet, privileged but lost. At 33, he was steady, controlled, certain. "You disappeared," she said. "My program ended." "You didn't say goodbye." "You told me not to linger." A flicker of recognition crossed her face. 14 years ago. "You're attached to admiration, not love," she had told him gently after he'd stayed behind one afternoon. He had stood there, hands in his pockets. "And if it's not admiration?" "Then you'll still feel it when you're 30. He asked, "And if I do?" She'd smiled sadly. "Then we'll talk." He hadn't understood that she was pushing him away, protecting him, protecting herself. Now, standing in the rain, he said quietly, "I'm 33. Alana didn't miss the implication. "This isn't appropriate." "I haven't said anything inappropriate." "You're thinking it." He held her gaze. "Yes." There was silence. Cars passed. Water rushed along the curb. "You're my former student," she said carefully. "Yes." "I was 29. You were 19. "Yes." "That matters." It did. "And now?" "Now I'm a grown man." She swallowed. And I'm 44. I can count. That's not funny. I'm not joking. Her eyes searched his face. Why are you here, Joon? New York or here? Both. New York is business. And here? You. She shook her head immediately. No. You asked why. I meant why are you talking to me? Because I never stopped thinking about you. That landed heavier than he expected. She looked away first. You were a boy. I was. You had a crush. Yes. You confused safety with romance. He stepped closer, but not too close. You taught me what respect looked like. That was my job. You treated me like I was more than my father's last name. That was also my job. You never crossed a line. Her jaw tightened. Of course I didn't. I know. He softened. That's why I trust you. The rain slowed to a drizzle. She looked exhausted suddenly. Joon, my life is complicated. I can see that. I work mornings at a diner, afternoons tutoring, nights grading online classes. You shouldn't have to. I don't need saving. I'm not offering to save you. Then what are you offering? He didn't hesitate. A real conversation. She stared at him. You flew here with a car worth more than my house, and you think this is just a conversation? His expression shifted slightly. It's not just a conversation. Then what is it? Closure or a beginning? She let out a quiet, disbelieving breath. You're still intense, and you're still running. Her eyes flashed. I am not running. You always leave first when something feels emotional. That's not. You did it when I was 19. Her voice dropped. I did it because it was right. I know. He held her gaze. Alana, I'm not 19 anymore. And I'm not your student anymore. The words hung there. Dangerous. She stepped back slightly. My daughter is missing. That snapped him back. You're right. He nodded once. Let me make some calls. I don't want you using money to bulldoze this. I won't. He pulled out his phone anyway. I'll use influence. She almost rolled her eyes. That's worse. He allowed a small smile. It's efficient. She watched him as he spoke in rapid Korean to someone on the line. His tone was calm, authoritative. Not a student, but a man used to being obeyed. When he hung up, she said quietly, You changed. I had to. For what? For the life waiting for me in Korea. There was something in his voice she didn't miss. What life? He hesitated. Her instincts sharpened instantly. What aren't you telling me? He met her eyes directly. There's an arrangement. Her stomach tightened. An arrangement? An engagement. The words settled between them like a crack in glass. She nodded slowly. Of course there is. It's political. It was decided years ago? While you were thinking about me? Yes. That answer hit harder than it should have. You don't get to hold on to a fantasy and a fiancé at the same time. It's not a fantasy. It is. He stepped closer again, voice low. If it was a fantasy, it would have faded. She felt that, and she hated that she felt it. You're engaged, she said firmly. I have a daughter. I have a past, an abusive ex-husband who still tries to intimidate me through lawyers. His jaw tightened. He touches you. He doesn't, she cut in sharply. Not anymore. But that's my reality. He nodded once. Then I'll face it with you. You don't even know what that means. Then teach me. She almost laughed at that. You think this is romantic? No, he said quietly. I think it's unfinished. In the distance, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered instantly. Yes? Her shoulders sagged with relief. Yes, that's her. I'm on my way. She hung up. They found Mina, she said, voice trembling now. She's safe. A woman picked her up claiming to be family, but they located the car. He exhaled slowly. Good. She looked at him. This isn't over. No, he agreed. It's not. They found Mina sitting in the back of a patrol car, wrapped in a blanket too big for her small frame. The moment she saw her mother, she burst into tears. "Mom!" She ran, and her mother dropped to her knees on wet pavement and held her like she would never let go again. "I'm so sorry," she whispered into her daughter's hair. "I'm so sorry." "I told the lady you weren't my aunt," Mina said between hiccups, "but she said you were busy." Her mother froze. What did she look like? Mina sniffed. Pretty, mean eyes. Joon's expression shifted subtly. "Did she say her name?" he asked gently. Mina shook her head. The officer approached. "Ma'am, the woman left before we arrived. School cameras caught the car. We're tracking it." Her mother stood slowly, still holding Mina's hand. This wasn't random. "No," Joon said quietly. "It wasn't." She looked at him. And for the first time since he'd appeared in her life again, there was something different in her eyes. Not irritation, not boundaries. Fear. "Your engagement," she said carefully. "Does she know about me?" He didn't lie. "Yes." Silence. Mina looked between them. "Who is she?" Her mother forced a calm smile. "No one you need to worry about." But Joon answered honestly. "Someone who doesn't like losing." That night, Mina refused to sleep alone. She curled up in her mother's bed, small fingers clutching her shirt even after she drifted off. Joon stood in the doorway of the tiny apartment, taking in the peeling paint, the stack of graded essays on the kitchen table, the second-hand couch. "You don't belong here," he said quietly. She stiffened. "My daughter does." "That's not what I meant." It sounded like it. He stepped inside fully. "I meant you don't deserve to struggle like this." She folded her arms. "Struggle is relative. You're working 2 jobs. 3. His jaw tightened. "You used to tell me potential meant responsibility." She raised a brow. "You remember that?" "I remember everything." "Then remember this too. I don't measure my life by money. And I don't measure love by age." That caught her off guard. "You're really doing this?" "Yes." "You're engaged?" "Not for long." She stared at him. "Do you understand what breaking an engagement like that does in families like yours?" "Yes." "You'll lose business." "I'll make new ones." "You'll embarrass your father." "He'll survive." "And the woman?" His voice went colder. "She will not hurt you again." The certainty in his tone made her uneasy. "I don't need you fighting my battles." "I know." "Then stop trying to position yourself like some savior." He exhaled. "I'm not trying to save you." "Then what are you trying to do?" "Choose you." That caught her off guard. "Don't say that in my home." "Why?" "Because I'm tired, and when I'm tired, I'm vulnerable." He softened instantly. "I don't want you vulnerable." "Too late." She looked at him fully now. "You were 19. You had a crush. I was careful because it was my job to be careful." "I know." "You were from a powerful family. I was a black teacher in a country that doesn't always protect women like me." He didn't interrupt. "And now I'm divorced, 44, with a child, working non-stop just to stay afloat." "And?" "And you're a wealthy 33-year-old Korean executive with an arranged fiancé." He held her gaze. "So?" "So this doesn't make sense." "It makes perfect sense." She shook her head slowly. "It makes noise." "I don't want noise around my daughter." He stepped closer, but respectful of distance. then I'll end it cleanly. You can't control how people react. No, he agreed, but I can control my choice. She searched his face. You'd really walk away from all of that? Yes. From me? From myself, he corrected gently. You just happen to be who I want. That honesty disarmed her more than grand gestures would have. Mina stirred in her sleep. Alana instinctively adjusted the blanket. Joon watched that small movement like it meant everything. She comes first, she said quietly. I know. If I ever feel like this threatens her stability, I will end it. I would expect you to. There was another pause. Does your family know? She asked. That I'm reconsidering? Yes. And? They're not pleased. That's an understatement. He allowed a faint smile. My father called it a reckless infatuation. And is it? No. How can you be sure? Because I've dated women my age, beautiful, educated, appropriate. None of them stayed. Stayed where? He touched his chest lightly. Here. Her throat tightened. That's not fair. Why? Because you're talking about a version of me from 14 years ago. No, he said firmly. I'm talking about the woman who just argued with a police officer without flinching. She blinked. I'm talking about the mother who works 3 jobs without complaining. I complain, she muttered. He smiled. I'm talking about the woman who taught a lost 19-year-old boy how to think for himself. There was silence. And you think that means I'm supposed to fall in love with you now? She asked. I think it means you don't get to dismiss this without considering it. Her eyes flashed. You always were stubborn. You liked that about me. I tolerated it. He stepped back finally. I'll end the engagement tomorrow. Her heart skipped. Don't rush because of today. I'm not rushing. He looked toward Mina. She tried to take your daughter. Yes. She won't get a second chance. You don't know that it was her. He met her eyes calmly. Yes, I do. She felt a chill. And if it was? His voice lowered. Then she made a mistake. Not loud, not dramatic, just certain. You're different, she whispered. I had to become someone who protects what matters. And what matters? You. The word hung there again, heavy, dangerous. She looked away first. Go home, Joon. This is my home. For tonight, maybe. He nodded slowly. I'll call you tomorrow. She hesitated. Why? To tell you it's done. She didn't answer. He walked to the door, then paused. I meant what I said. About what? Standing on equal ground. She frowned slightly. You told me once age matters when someone is still becoming who they are. Recognition dawned in her eyes. I remember. I'm not becoming anymore. He held her gaze. I know exactly who I am. And then he left. She stood there long after the door closed, listening to her daughter breathe, feeling 14 years collapse into one impossible decision. The next morning, the school sent over the security stills. And there she was, clear enough to recognize. Elegant coat, dark sunglasses, calm posture like she belonged anywhere she stood. Yura, already in America, already moving. She stared at the image on the screen, her stomach twisting. That's her, she said quietly. Joon didn't react outwardly, but something in his eyes shut down completely. I told you she wouldn't lose quietly. You knew she was here? She asked sharply. I suspected. And you didn't warn me? I didn't know she'd escalate this fast. Her jaw tightened. She picked up my child. Yes. She walked into a school and signed her out like she had the right. Yes. And you're standing there looking calm. His voice went cold. I am not calm. Silence filled the small living room. Mina was in her bedroom coloring, unaware of how close someone had come to taking her away. She came from me, not Mina. She used Mina to get to you. That's worse. Yes. He stepped closer to the table, staring at the still image of Yura. She wanted to scare you. She succeeded. A knock hit the door. Both of them stiffened. She moved first, protective instincts sharp. Joon stopped her gently. "Let me." He opened it, and there she was. Yura didn't look flustered. She didn't look guilty. She looked offended. "You shouldn't be here," Joon said flatly. "And yet," Yura replied smoothly, stepping past him without invitation. "Here I am." She looked around the apartment with a faint, unimpressed smile. "This is where you've been spending your time." "Leave," he said. But Yura's gaze had already landed on her. "So you're the teacher." Her voice wasn't loud. It was worse, polite. She stood straighter. "I'm her mother." "Temporarily," Yura said lightly. Joon's tone sharpened. "Enough." Yura tilted her head. "I simply wanted to meet the woman who believes she can dismantle years of planning." "I don't want your fiancé," she said calmly. "You already have his attention." "That's not the same." Yura smiled faintly. "You're 44. Yes. You have a child. Yes. You work multiple jobs. Yes. And you think you can stand beside him in corporate galas, in Seoul, in rooms where people measure worth before they offer a handshake." Alana didn't flinch. "I don't need to stand in any room that requires me to shrink." Joon's gaze flickered toward her briefly. Yura noticed. "And this," Yura continued, eyes sharp now, "is exactly why you're dangerous." "I didn't kidnap your daughter," she said evenly. "I took her for an hour. You signed her out under false pretenses. I ensured she was safe. You terrified her. I educated you." The room went still. "Educated me?" she repeated. Yura's smile faded. "You need to understand your place." "My place?" "Yes." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You had a crush on him when he was a boy." "No." "You didn't?" "I respected him." "Don't pretend you didn't notice." "I noticed, and I maintained boundaries." "Congratulations." Yura's eyes turned icy. "You had your chance to ruin him then." Joon's voice cut through. "Yura." But she kept going. "You think this is romantic, the older teacher, the devoted single mother, the billionaire who comes back for her." She laughed softly. "It's embarrassing." She felt heat rise in her chest. "You don't get to walk into my home and insult me." "I can walk anywhere I want," Yura replied smoothly, "especially when my name is still attached to his." Joon stepped between them now. "It won't be." Yura looked at him. "You ended it?" "Yes." "When?" "This morning." A flicker. Just a flicker. "You embarrassed my family publicly." "I corrected a mistake." Her voice sharpened. "I was chosen. And I'm unchoosing." There was heavy silence. Yura's eyes moved back to her. "This isn't finished." "It is for me," she replied calmly. Yura's smile returned. "No, it isn't." And then she left. Just like that. No shouting, no threats. Which somehow felt worse.
The door shut. The apartment felt smaller. "You shouldn't have let her in," Alana said quietly. "She would have made a scene in the hallway." "She already made a scene of my daughter's school." His jaw tightened. "I'll handle her." "You can't." "Yes, I can." "No," she said firmly. "You can't control a woman who feels humiliated." He didn't respond immediately. "I underestimated how far she'd go," he admitted. "That's not comforting. I won't underestimate her again." Mina padded into the living room. "Who was that lady?" Her mother knelt quickly. "No one important." Mina looked at Joon. "She looked mean." "She won't bother you again," he said gently. "Promise?" He held her gaze. "Yes." She accepted that answer and went back to her room. Silence returned. "You can't promise that," she said quietly. "I can." "You don't know that." He turned to her fully now. She wanted control. She wanted to remind you that she exists. And she did. She also wanted me to see that she's capable. She made her move. "And?" she asked carefully. "And now I make mine." Her stomach tightened. "What does that mean?" "It means she doesn't get access to you, or Mina, ever again." "You think your family will just let this go?" No. Then this isn't over. He stepped closer. I don't care if it's not over. You should. I don't. She studied him carefully. This is the world you come from, she said softly. Power, pride, strategy. Yes. I come from lesson plans and parent-teacher meetings. And resilience. She looked at him. You think you can merge those worlds? I don't think, he said calmly. I decide. She exhaled slowly. You're asking me to step into a storm. I'm asking you to trust me in one. There was a long silence. You were 19, she said again, softer this time. And you were the only adult who ever told me no without making me feel small. That was my responsibility, and this is mine. She swallowed. And what exactly is that? He looked toward the hallway where Mina's door was slightly open. To build something strong enough that no one ever thinks they can take from you again. Her chest tightened. You don't get to decide that alone. I'm not. His voice softened. I'm asking if you will stand beside me. Not in front, not above, beside. For the first time since he came back into her life, she didn't immediately push back. Because despite the chaos, despite the fear, despite the age gap and the whispers that would come, he wasn't acting like a boy chasing a fantasy. He was acting like a man who had chosen his fight. And she wasn't sure anymore whether she was strong enough to tell him to walk away. Alana's phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again. She glanced down. A parenting blog headline. Former teacher reunites with ex-student billionaire. Inappropriate? Her stomach tightened. She hadn't given an interview. She hadn't posted anything. But the comments were already spiraling. Predator, gold digger, midlife crisis. She locked her phone. Joon noticed the change in her mood and asked her what was wrong. She said nothing and told him to go home. The next morning, Alana was walking Mina into school, hand in hand, trying to re-establish normalcy. Mom, are you and Joon dating? Mina asked casually. She nearly tripped. No. Are you going to? Nina. What? I'm 9, not 5. She sighed. We're talking. About kissing? Mina! Mina giggled. Two mothers stood near the gate. One didn't lower her voice enough. That's her. The one from the article? I can't believe the school lets her volunteer. Alana kept walking. Mina's hand tightened in hers. Mom, are they talking about you? Mina whispered. Alana forced a calm smile. No. But Mina didn't look convinced. And that's when the police cars pulled up. 2 this time. Her stomach dropped. An officer stepped out. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. For what? Kidnapping, harassment, defamation. Her world tilted. What are you talking about? A second officer approached, holding a printed document. Miss Yura Park has filed a complaint stating you attempted to abduct her and extort money. That's insane, Alana said. She has video evidence. What video? Joon's car pulled up at the curb at the worst possible moment. He stepped out just as the officer reached for her arm. Don't touch her. Sir, step back. Mina clung to her mother. Mom? It's okay, she whispered, even though it wasn't. Joon stepped between her and the officers. Sir, we have formal charges. From the woman who illegally signed out her child from school? The officer hesitated. That's being investigated. She admitted it in my presence. Then you can testify. They handcuffed her anyway. In front of her daughter, in front of other parents. Phones came out instantly. Someone whispered, Isn't she the one dating that Korean billionaire? Another voice, She's too old for him. Mina started crying. Joon knelt in front of her quickly. Look at me, he said gently. Your mom didn't do anything wrong. They're taking her. I know. Are you going to fix it? He held her gaze. Yes. She accepted that answer, and the car door shut. And just like that, everything went public. By the time he reached the precinct, social media had exploded. Yura posted first, a polished statement. I have endured harassment and manipulation from a former educator who became obsessed with my fiancé. For the safety of all involved, I've taken legal action. Attached was a selectively edited video. A clip of her raising her voice in the apartment. Cut to make it look aggressive. Cut to remove context. Comments flooded in. Predator, gold digger. Wasn't she his teacher? She groomed him. He felt something inside him go cold. His phone rang. His father. "You will end this immediately," his father said without greeting. "I am. By apologizing publicly." "No." "Then what?" "By exposing her." There was silence. "She has proof. She has edited footage. Optics matter. So does truth." His father's voice hardened. "You are choosing a scandal over legacy. I'm choosing my family. You don't have one." He looked through the glass window of the holding area. She was sitting straight-backed, calm despite the humiliation. "Yes," he said quietly, "I do."
Inside the holding cell, Alana didn't cry. She was too angry to cry. The officer across from her sighed. "You should have stayed away from wealthy people," he muttered. She looked at him evenly. "I stayed in my lane." He shrugged. "They always drag someone down when they fall." Joon appeared at the bars. "I'm here." She exhaled slowly. "You shouldn't be. I'm not leaving." She studied his face. "You look furious." "I am." "Good." He blinked. "I don't need you calm," she continued. "I need you strategic." His jaw flexed. "I have the original footage from your apartment building. Security cameras caught her admitting she took Mina. And I'm filing a countersuit. She wants public spectacle. She'll get it." She leaned closer. "Listen to me carefully." He met her eyes. "If this gets uglier, I will not let Mina become collateral damage." "She won't." "You can't promise that." "I can." "How?" "Because I'm done playing defensively." Her breath caught slightly at the shift in him. "What are you planning?" "I'm calling a press conference." She closed her eyes briefly. "That escalates." "Yes. It drags my name everywhere. It clears it, too." There was silence. "Are you sure you want this?" she asked quietly. "Your board, your shareholders." "They answer to me." "And your father?" He didn't hesitate. "He'll adjust." She studied him carefully. "You're really willing to burn it down?" "If that's what it takes." There was a long pause. "Joon." "Yes." "I didn't protect you 14 years ago just to watch you destroy yourself now." He softened slightly. "You didn't protect me." "Yes, I did." "How?" "I kept you from making a decision you weren't ready to live with." He swallowed. "I'm ready now." The officer approached. "Your bail's been posted." She looked at Joon. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to." They walked out together. Cameras flashed immediately. Reporters shouted questions. "Did you groom him when he was your student? Are you using him financially? Is this about revenge against his fiancée?" She froze. Joon stepped in front of her. "No further questions." He wrapped his arm around her shoulders, shielding her from cameras without making it look possessive, just protective. They got into the car. The door slammed shut. Silence filled the space. Her hands were shaking again. He noticed. He gently took one. She didn't pull away. "This is exactly what I didn't want," she whispered. "I know. My daughter saw me in handcuffs. I know. She'll never forget that. I won't let it define her." She looked at him. "You talk like you can control outcomes." "I can influence them." "That's not the same." He squeezed her hand slightly. "Trust me." She studied his face. "You're not doing this out of guilt." "No." "Or nostalgia?" "No." "Then why?" His voice lowered. "Because when I saw you in that cell, I realized something." "What?" "There is no version of my life where I stand by and let someone humiliate you." There was silence. Heavy. Real. "You're younger than me," she said softly. "Yes. You'll face gossips." Yes. You'll lose invitations. Yes. And you still want this? He looked at her like the question offended him. I don't want rooms that require you to feel small. Her throat tightened. Back at the apartment, Mina ran into her arms again. Are you going to jail? No, I whispered. I'm right here. Mina looked at Joon. Did you fix it? He crouched to her level. Not yet. Her mother shot him a look. He corrected gently. But I will. Mina considered that. Okay. She went back to her room. Silence settled again. You can still walk away, she said quietly. He stepped closer. No. It will get worse before it gets better. I know. She won't stop. I know. She searched his eyes one last time for hesitation. There wasn't any. You're really choosing me. Yes. And my daughter. Yes. And the chaos that comes with us? He allowed a faint, steady smile. I've handled worse. She almost laughed at that. You've never handled me. He stepped close enough that she could feel his presence, but not so close it felt like pressure. Then teach me, he said softly. And for the first time since the police lights flashed outside the school, she let herself lean into him. Just for a second. Just long enough to admit this wasn't a boy chasing a memory anymore. It was a man starting a war for the woman who once taught him how to think. And this time, she wasn't sure he wanted him to stop. The following morning, her name started trending. Alana Brooks started trending before sunrise. Not teacher, not predator, not gold digger. Just her name. Because Joon made it so. He stood behind a podium the next morning, cameras flashing so bright it felt like daylight. Good morning, he began calmly. My name is Han Joon. He didn't use his full corporate title, didn't list his companies. I am here to address false allegations against Alana Brooks. He said her name slowly, clearly. Across the city, Alana sat on her couch, Mina curled beside her, watching the live stream. You don't have to watch, Alana whispered. I want to, Mina said stubbornly. On screen, Joon continued. 14 years ago, when I was 19, Miss Brooks was my English teacher. The room shifted slightly. He kept going. She maintained absolute professionalism at all times. She never crossed a boundary. She never encouraged anything inappropriate. In fact, she did the opposite. Reporters leaned forward. She taught me discipline. She taught me accountability, and she taught me that admiration is not the same as entitlement. Alana's chest tightened. This narrative being circulated that she manipulated or groomed me is false. It is defamatory, and it will be pursued legally. A reporter shouted. What about the kidnapping charges? Joon didn't blink. Security footage and witness testimony confirm that Miss Yura Park removed Miss Brooks's daughter from school under false pretenses. Gasps. We have submitted evidence to the district attorney's office. Charges against Miss Brooks have been formally dismissed. Another reporter. Are you ending your engagement? Yes. No hesitation. It ended yesterday. The cameras erupted in noise. Because of Miss Brooks? He paused, then answered carefully. It ended because it was never built on choice. There was silence. I am choosing now. The stream cut. In the apartment, Mina looked up at her mother. He likes you, she said simply. Alana exhaled slowly. Yes. Do you like him? Alana hesitated. Then, quietly, yes. Across the office, Yura sat in her leather chair, her hand in a fist. She watched the press conference. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Her father's call featured prominently. She ignored it for now. By afternoon, everything shifted. The narrative cracked. Clips of Yura admitting she took the child for an hour leaked online. Security timestamps surfaced. The school principal released a statement clarifying Alana's innocence. But humiliation doesn't evaporate that quickly. Alana's phone buzzed non-stop. former colleagues, curious neighbors, strangers. One message stood out. Unknown number. You think you've won. She stared at it. Joon saw the tension in her face. Yura? Yes. He nodded slowly. She's losing control, and that makes her unpredictable. I've already contacted counsel in both countries. Of course you have. He stepped closer. You should consider staying somewhere else for a few days. My home is not a crime scene. It's exposed. She crossed her arms. I've spent years rebuilding stability for Mina. I'm not running because someone wealthy feels embarrassed. His eyes softened slightly. You're stubborn. You used to admire that. I still do. They stared at each other in silence. You put my name out there, she said quietly. Yes. You made this official. Yes. You understand that means there's no hiding now. I never wanted to hide. She studied him carefully. You're certain? He stepped closer, voice low but steady. Alana. Her name in his accent did something unfair to her heart. I am not doing this impulsively. You ended an engagement under 24 hours. It was overdue. You stood in front of cameras and declared yourself. I did. And if your family retaliates, they will. And I'll handle them. She shook her head slowly. You don't get to fight everyone for me. I'm not fighting for you. She looked up. I'm fighting with you. That landed differently. Silence stretched between them. Mina peeked around the corner. Are we rich now? She asked suddenly. Alana laughed under her breath. No, Mina, that's not how it works. Oh, are you going to marry my mom? Alana nearly choked. Mina! What? I'm asking. Joon didn't answer immediately. He looked at Alana first. I'm not in a rush, he said carefully, but I don't date casually. Mina seemed satisfied with that. Okay. She disappeared back into her room. Alana stared at him. You're not in a rush? I've waited 14 years. She gasped. That's not fair. It's honest. She walked to the kitchen, needing space. You romanticize endurance. No, he said quietly, following her. I value consistency. She turned. You don't know what it was like after you left. Tell me. She hesitated. Then she did. I married a man who started charming and ended controlling. I covered bruises with blazers. I graded essays at midnight while pretending everything was fine. His jaw tightened dangerously. I stayed longer than I should have because I didn't want to fail. You didn't fail. You did. I chose wrong. You survived. That's not the same. He stepped closer. You think I see you as fragile? No. Then stop speaking like surviving is weakness. She searched his face. You don't see me as damaged? No. You don't see the age? I see it. And I'm not intimidated by it. She laughed softly. You should be. Why? Because in 10 years I'll be 54, and I'll be 43. You'll still be young. I'll still be with you. There was silence. You say that so easily. It's math. She almost smiled. You're impossible. I'm certain. There it was again. That certainty. Her phone buzzed once more. Another unknown number. She ignored it. He didn't. I'm increasing security. I don't want bodyguards outside my daughter's school. You won't notice them. I'll notice. He exhaled. Alana, she targeted Mina. I know, and that changes everything. Her voice softened. I've spent 9 years protecting her alone. You're not alone now. The words settled deep. You can still walk away, she said one last time. He stepped forward, took her hand gently.
Not possessive, not urgent, just steady. "I'm not 19 anymore," he said quietly. "I know. I'm not confused. I know. I'm choosing you, Alana Brooks." Her heart pounded. "Even if your father never accepts it?" "Yes." "Even if your board questions your judgment?" "Yes." "Even if the world calls me too old for you?" He didn't hesitate. "Then the world can learn new math." She laughed softly at that, tears threatening behind her eyes. Outside, somewhere across the city, Yura watched the same press conference replay. Her name now trending for the wrong reasons. Her father's calls unanswered. Her control slipping. She wasn't finished. Not yet. But for the first time, she realized something uncomfortable. Joon wasn't defending Alana out of rebellion. He wasn't chasing nostalgia. He wasn't confused. He was anchored. And that made him far harder to move.